Hello everyone, welcome to the 8th episode of Ask Your Aviator series. My name is Christopher Igala Kigalo, a Senior Air Transport Officer at Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Today on Ask Your Aviator series, we are going to take you through one of the functions of the Civil Aviation Authority, which involves facilitation of air transport. In facilitation of air transport as provided internationally by International Civil Aviation Organization and KCCA as the oversight body in Kenya, we have to ensure that passengers and shippers are properly facilitated at the airport. In doing this, we involve several agencies, both public and private. An example of agencies in the private sector includes the airlines, ground handling agencies, catering services, taxi services, and financial institutions. Public bodies involve Kenya Revenue Authority, Customs Department, Immigration Department. We have the Plant Health Inspectorate Department, Directorate of Livestock, the Nuclear Authority, the Kenya Bureau of Standards, among others. So all these agencies have to coordinate in order to facilitate a passenger. So join me today as we go through the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to show you how an international passenger is facilitated on departure and the seamless coordination between all the agencies. Thank you, and let's start our journey. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. We are here today going through the airport. You may introduce yourself and tell us who you are, the organization you work for, and the role you play at the airport.
My name is Benjamin Murkomen. I'm the head of Portal Services, JKIA. And the key role that we do as Portal Services is to ensure that we put in place preventative measures in case of any emergency here at the airport, and ensure that we attend to those medical emergencies as soon as possible without interfering with travel and business in this airport.
How do you handle, on a normal day, how do you handle passengers who pass through your point of operation?
As you can see, we are now here at the Terminal 1A. We have new procedures based on the new protocols of COVID-19. Yes. Number one, before a traveler exits through our airport, we must screen them based on the PCR certificate that I'm presenting here at the counter. And I have my officers here who are ready to receive our travelers. Yes. So what happens, the passenger arrives, he presents or she presents our certificates from approved laboratories in Kenya. We have 43 approved labs that test COVID-19 certificates. So once they present themselves here, we verify the certificates that they present. We have a trusted traveler's code that they must look at those certificates. We have a digital system that is linked to the laboratory. So once a traveler comes, they present a TT code in soft copy or in hard copy. And then we check very fast based on the Banner Bio system that we have, whether it is a genuine one or not. Once they enter into the tablet, it will produce the certificate and will compare with your passport and the document that was presented from the lab. When it matches, we release you, you continue with your journey.
There's a much difference between the operations now and before COVID-19. Can you simply explain to us the differences that you have now and how you are doing things before COVID came around?
Absolutely. We have new procedures now because of COVID-19. There is the new norm currently, and the new norm is we must sanitize our hands, social distance the way we are now.
I hope this is more than
1.5 meters.
Yes.
And ensure that you are tested before you travel, because we want to ensure that the risk of COVID-19 is reduced as you travel. That is why we are here screening before they go to the main terminal, so that at least we are sure that those who are traveling have been screened and they have the right documentation before they do that. So they have to arrive here early as opposed to the times when we are not having COVID-19.
Now, we already have a vaccine that arrived in Kenya recently. After Kenyans have been vaccinated and the whole world vaccination has taken place, how different will it be to travel between now and after we've gotten the vaccine?
As a country, we are really excited that we have now this vaccine that we're going to use for our frontline health workers. The vaccine is part of preventative measures. What will happen now is that it will give our travelers that confidence that at least they are being given a preventative measure, so that at least they are aware that when there is the virus is there, it will reduce the risk of the virulence of that virus. So what will happen now is that my front health workers will get the inoculation and will go to the general public. And after that now, what will happen to this traveler is that there will be that confidence, because it will give the traveler that confidence that they have a preventative measure in themselves. It will give them immunity for a certain period of time. But that means also we will not leave the other precautionary measures. They must observe social distance, put on their masks, and ensure that they sanitize and wash their hands as they travel through our airport.
Now, Mr. Murkomen, in case a passenger appears showing symptoms of COVID-19, what action will you take as public health?
Yeah, in our protocols, once you have a case of COVID-19 positive case arriving, what will happen is that we have to isolate that person. We have an isolation facility in this airport. Number two, we fill a form that shows that this person presented himself or herself with a positive certificate. Then we contact our counterparts in Nairobi Metropolitan Services, whereby they will come and pick this person for further management. So we will not allow anybody presenting himself or herself to travel with a positive certificate, because we don't know whether it's a true positive or a negative. So we must confirm by ensuring that that person is returned back for further management and for further testing, so that we are sure that once they travel, they are truly negative.
Thank you very much. Final one, having worked at JKIA, we know the vaccine came through the airport the other day. Were you part of the team that received the vaccine?
Yes, as a portal officer in charge of this airport, I received the team, the CS who came to receive the vaccines. And it was a very good day, because as a country, we know now we have a vaccine that will protect the citizens and our travelers who are in this country. So very soon we'll be inoculating our frontline health workers, the police, the KCCA frontline team, and the people who are in this airport, because we are all receiving travelers. So we are in the front line.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murkomen. We want to continue with our passenger facilitation journey. We are now headed to KCCA. We are entering the airport itself. We are going to see how the passenger is going to be facilitated through other facilities within the airport. We continue with our journey. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, madam.
How are you?
I'm very fine. How are you today?
Fine.
Yes.
You're welcome to KCCA.
Thank you. I would wish you introduce yourself,
Yeah.
and you tell us which organization you work for.
Okay. My name is Dorcas Chemo. I work for Kenya Airports Authority as a Senior Operations Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chemo.
Yes.
Tell us in short,
Yes.
what's the role of Kenya Airports Authority?
Okay, in a nutshell, Kenya Airports Authority is the airport operator. It is mandated to administer, control, and manage airports, civilian airports in the country.
So you manage all airports within the country?
Yes, within the country.
Including where we are, Jomo Kenyatta International
Including
Airport.
Jomo Kenyatta International
Thank you
Airport.
very much.
Thank you.
Now, I want you to explain to the public, how do you facilitate our passengers here at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport?
Okay.
Yes.
Kenya Airports Authority being the airport operator, we have several airports. This is being our main airport.
Yes.
We provide facilitative infrastructure for aviation services. Yes, and the aviation services, of course, include the airlines, catering services, government agencies, because as an airport operator, we cannot achieve facilitation of passengers minus all those organizations that support us into delivering customer satisfaction in our airports. Yes.
Thank you. What are some of the agencies that are involved in the passenger journey within the airport?
There are several agencies that are involved. One of them is immigration. We have customs. We have port health. We have other government agencies like anti-narcotics, security agencies like the police, who help us ensure that security on the land side is okay. And many other agencies like even taxi drivers, like passenger facilitation begins at home.
Yes.
Even transporters from the city to airport are all lumped together to deliver customer experience in airports. Yes.
So in essence, you are the landlord of everybody else who works within the airport.
Exactly, we are
from the airline to all government agencies.
Completely, yes, we are.
Thank you very much, Madam Chemo. Now to our viewers, I would like to remind you to listen keenly and engage us, because we are going to give away gift bags to people who respond to our questions correctly. And our first question for the day: do you know the difference between Kenya Airports Authority and Kenya Civil Aviation Authority? Remember to follow us on our social media handles and engage us. And now, Madam Dorcas, we can see so many gadgets here. Can you explain to us the process of now facilitating the passenger?
Thank you, I'll gladly do it.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
This is our initial security checkpoint.
Yes.
Where a passenger comes.
Yes.
We have our security officers waiting upon you.
Yes.
As a customer comes, they are required to remove their shoes
Yes.
when they get here. Remove all the metallic items that they have. If they have a computer,
Yes.
they have to remove and place it in a different tray.
Yes.
And then it will now go through the process
Yes.
of security. Yes, and you can see from our left we have prohibited items that you are not supposed to travel with.
Okay.
And because of this COVID era now, make sure that we sanitize all this immediately after use. Now this one is a walk-through machine. In case you have anything that is not required,
Yes.
metallic or whatever, it will beep. And then the officer on the other side
Yes.
will do a special search. After the items have gone through the X-ray machine,
Yes.
and in case there is any dutable item that has been identified, we normally have our customs partners on standby to check on the items that are dutable. Yes.
So the next step from here is the customs department.
Exactly, that is now where we are going to.
Can you take us please to the customs department?
Let's go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, hello sir.
Yes, sir.
Would you wish to introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, the organization you work for, and what you do.
Thank you very much. I'm Robert Kirer, Head of Customs at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, passenger terminals. Customs, we play a major role at the departure. We do enforce the customs law, the various acts or other laws, and various conventions. And we do that jointly with the other security agencies at the airport. We work with Kenya Airports Authority, security agencies. We work with the police. We work with the intelligence services. And basically we are doing that to protect our border. We are doing that for us to be able not to check the smuggling of illegal wildlife trade, the products like ivory, bulk cash smuggling. We do that to check on smuggling of high value goods which could be taken out of the country. That include gold. Basically, we are here as a border control agent to ensure that no smuggling activities happens in our airport.
Now, if I'm a passenger traveling out of the country, how would you handle me?
When you come in as a passenger, you would find customs at the checkpoints working with Kenya Airports Authority just to check on what you have in your bags and what you're supposed to declare. And if you have any items that you're supposed to declare to customs, at that point you're supposed to make that declaration to the customs agent who will be present at the departure points.
And can you give an example of the items that is a mandatory that you have to declare?
Yes, all restricted items that are being taken out of the country should be declared. For example, if you are carrying currency more than or equivalent or monetary instrument equivalent to $10,000, you are supposed to make that declaration to customs. Our officers who are present at the departure will be there to guide you on how to make that declaration in a monetary instrument declaration form. And then all the items that you intend to bring back into the country should be declared to customs. For example, if you are taking out, say, your professional toolboxes that you are going to use for your work outside the country, you are supposed to declare to customs. If you are taking out jewelry, you are attending a function, you are attending a wedding, you're supposed to declare to customs when you're leaving. If you are going out with your sporting equipments, you are supposed to make that declaration to customs. And when you make that declaration, customs will issue with your importation certificate that you are supposed to keep it, so that when you're coming back into the country, you will declare what you carried out with you, and at that point we won't charge you taxes or we won't collect duty on that particular item.
For example, I can see your officers here with a few bags. Maybe they can demonstrate what they do on a daily basis.
Yes, while we were doing the clearance of passengers, we found one bag with the filming equipments which need to be declared at this point. So my officers will open it, we need to declare that, and then we issue with a importation certificate, so that when you're coming back, we'll just make a confirmation, okay, that for sure these are the filming equipment you went out with. So at this point, we'll request to open the bag, but before that we need to sanitize the bag, and we require a passport to make that particular declaration. We have found out that there are lenses. There's a professional camera which we just need to check for the marks and numbers to make sure that when it is brought back, it is the same camera. So at this point, the passenger is required to give us the travel documents, and we shall process their importation certificate. So once we are done with their importation certificate, at the point of importation or coming back into the country, we'll be able just to compare the marks and numbers with what we have in the certificate, and we will be able to allow that passenger to come into the country with the equipment they took out.
Now, with that explanation, what would you advise a regular passenger on custom requirements to have a smooth flow in the airport? What would be your advice for the traveling public?
Yes, my advice to the public is always know your obligations and your entitlements. And I would really advise our travelers to log on to the KRA website, that is www.kra.go.ke, and under the Customs and Border Control, the frequently asked questions, FAQs, you're able to get all the obligations and the entitlements. A passenger should be aware of what they have in their possession and what is supposed to be declared. And I really want to advise the public to make declaration, especially for bulk currency. We've seen in the past the movement of currency where most of our traders don't make that declaration. So I would really advise that we make declaration, especially for the restricted items. That includes currencies, anything more than $10,000 or equivalents.
Now, after we registered our passenger, she's free to go now.
Yes, upon registration and doing the importation certificate, our passenger is allowed to proceed.
Now, Mr. Kirel, when you are screening the bags and you find a passenger, a departing passenger, who has not declared the restricted items, what action do you take? What are the consequences?
Failure to declare restricted items to customs is an offense. These are customs offense that will be dealt as per the provision of the Act. So we would advise all passengers who are traveling, who are leaving the country, to make sure that they declare all restricted items to customs, so that they avoid facing the penalties and the fines that are provided in the law. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you again.
Thank you very much.
Now, for our public, keep viewing and take much interest, because the gift bags are still coming. And our next question is, what are the restricted items that you require to declare? And if you don't declare, what are the consequences? Keep following us on our handles and engage us continuously. Now that we are through with customs, Madam Chemo, can you tell us what next?
Okay, thank you. That's a pleasure, highlighting what happens in our facilitation journey. Now we can move on to the airline counters, where the passenger will present their documents to travel. You can do the check-in either self-check with these equipments, or you can go to the counters. In case you are a passenger who is not familiar with self-check-in, there is always an airline official around to assist.
So I can come here and get my boarding pass and board
Yes, yes, please. You can come in, scan your passport,
Yes.
then get your boarding pass, and then you go and drop off your bag. Yes.
Now please take us to the counter check-in.
Okay. So after the security check, the passenger now comes to the check-in counter where he or she will present all the travel documents, passport, ticket, then they are able to check him or her in. The passenger will also drop the check-in bags, and of course they will weigh the hand luggage to see if it is within the requirement weight, and then the passenger is given back their bag.
Now, who manages the counters?
The counters are managed by the various airlines. Of course, we open counters based on the airline that is the passenger is traveling. Yeah, like now when you see this one, it's Kenya Airways.
Now we have Kenya Airways check-in economy class.
Yes.
Okay.
And there are many.
All these are counters.
Yeah, all these are check-in counters from the end up to here. We have 30 counters. As Kenya Airports Authority, we've adopted all the protocols, the measures for COVID-19, and that's why you see that every counter we have some hand sanitizer for the passenger to sanitize herself before presenting the papers to the airline counters. And then we also ensure that we put this glass partition to protect the staff from direct interaction with the passenger. Yeah, this is just because of COVID issues. Yes.
Now, after the passenger has been accepted by the airline, where do we go next?
Now, after the passenger has been accepted by the airline, we will move forward to immigration.
Okay.
Yeah, where now the passenger will be cleared. That is our border control. So at this point, the passenger is still in Kenya.
Yes.
But after that point, the passenger will not be in Kenya, he will be in no man's land.
So can you take us to the immigration? We see whether we can leave Kenya today.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We now move to immigration, where the passenger will present their documents to the immigration officer, and then they will be facilitated. I think my brother from immigration can be able to take you through what happens in this passenger journey at the touch point of immigration.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Passport Control, Mr. Kigalo. As you can see here is where we control the documents, and my name is Edwin Muirore, Principal Immigration Officer, and our key role in air passenger facilitation when it comes to departure and generally at the airport is to process passengers for entry and exit into the country. What do I mean by that? If a passenger presents themselves at the immigration control on departure and is successfully processed by the immigration officer, that means that he has legally exited the country. On the other hand, when they arrive at the immigration control on arrival and they are processed by an immigration officer, it is deemed that they have legally entered the country. Once the passenger arrives, they are supposed to be to have two documents with them for the departure purposes. That is the travel document and the boarding pass. That one can the immigration officer will not begin to process you without those two documents. And the whole process that the immigration officer is doing is called passenger profiling, to determine your suitability for you to depart the country. So the immigration officer will receive the passport and the boarding pass, confirm that the details in the passport are the same as the details in the boarding pass, and he will ascertain for himself that actually the document, one, it's a genuine document. Secondly, he will ascertain himself that the passenger standing in front of him is the same one as the passenger in the passport. That is what is called imposter control, so that you don't have to process a document that does not belong to the passenger who is standing in front of you. Thirdly, the immigration officer will ascertain that the passenger has been lawfully, if he's not a citizen of Kenya, is not a Kenyan, has been lawfully present in Kenya by looking at the resident permits, looking at the visas that were issued on arrival to ascertain that he has not been unlawfully present in Kenya. And then again, he will have to ascertain, this passenger, what is his destination? Where is he going to? Does he meet the qualification to enter the country of where he is going to? In that, he'll be looking at things like the relationship, the requirements for the country of destination, the visas, and any other requirement that will permit him to enter the country of destination.
For the benefit of the public, I can see you have several counters, and I believe you receive Kenyans traveling and foreigners traveling. In Kenya, I'm sure you know how the features in our passports. How are you able to check the passports of foreign countries, whether they are authentic?
Thank you very much. You will realize that ICAO has recommended the bare minimum security features that are supposed to be in every passport. And what we have done, and surprisingly enough, is that ICAO has recommended that those security features should be easily verifiable without using complicated machines. And what we have done as a department, we have invested heavily in our officers there in terms of training. And you will realize in those few minutes as they are interacting with the passenger, they are able to verify some of these basic security features. And most of the security features can be verified using the normal light.
I can see you've got several counters marked differently. I can see other passports, Kenyan passports, East African passport, Sky Priority. Why do you require all these counters?
First of all, you realize our passenger, our client, they have different requirements for purposes of departure. You realize a Kenyan citizen, when he is departing, some of the requirements may not be the same as the other passport holders. And it is an international requirement to segregate the passengers so that you can be able to fast track them. If you lump them all together, then again you will consume more time and the passenger facilitation will be delayed. So the reason as to why we have segregated into different counters is, first of all, to be able to fast track our passengers. Secondly, the kind of requirements for different kinds of passengers are different.
Now, you spoke about control of passports.
Yes.
What action do you take in case you find a person has got maybe a forged back passport or an expired passport? What do you do with that passenger?
One, if you come to our controls with an expired passport, definitely we will inform the airline to offload you because you will not be able to travel with an expired document. Secondly, if you come to our counters with forged documents, that means you have contravened our Immigration Act and you are liable to be prosecuted. These are our first line officers. They must be equipped with the skills to be able to flag out these documents. Once they flag out those documents, they are referred to our secondary officers who carry out secondary checks to ascertain that actually this document is forged. And we also have our labs that we carry out the forensics. Once we are sure that this document has been forged, we recommend, and through the senior immigration officers, we recommend for prosecution. So you are processed and handed over to our prosecution office at the headquarters and you face your day in court. The punishment is very punitive. Like for instance, under section 54, if you are found guilty of having used forged documents, you are liable to a penalty of a maximum of 5 million shillings or to a jail term of 5 years, or both. So please kindly do not bring forged documents to our controls, and the officers are well equipped and they will get you. That applies to every passenger, Kenyans and foreigners. Do not bring forged documents to our controls.
Just to wind up.
Yes.
You can give just a small brief how your day is from when you enter to work until you leave office. How is normally your day?
Okay. For an immigration officer at the airport is quite different from ours at the headquarters, because you find we are dictated by the flights. So we have divided ourselves into control to man the controls on arrival side and the departure side. For an officer who will be working on that day on the arrival side, on the departure side, his work will be to process each and every passenger that is on an airline that is departing. So that is basically what we do during the day. And
finally, you said the maximum time I take is 3 minutes?
Yeah, we are allowed 3 minutes, and within those 3 minutes, the immigration officer will have checked all those things that I've said.
Thank you very much for that information. We look forward to seeing you again when we require more information on how you process our passengers. Madam Chemo, now that we are through with immigration, where does our passenger go next?
Okay, thank you so much. It is my pleasure to take you now through to the central screening point, where it will be our last checkpoint for security. And we normally do it both for departing passengers and transit passengers. Yeah, those ones from the check-in and the transit ones. So that's why we call it a central screening point.
You can go and see.
Yes. Welcome to our central screening area.
Yes.
Point. Here we have tried our best to make sure that our passengers get to know exactly what they need to remove, what they need to how they are going to be screened.
Yes.
And we have these screening machines here
Yes,
that display, you know, they display our security requirements.
Okay.
We have videos for those people who may not be very good in maybe English. So we display the prohibited items that you need to remove before you enter there. So at least this, the security officer is there telling the passengers what they need to keep, what they don't need to keep. Then here we have two types of screening machines. We have the full body scanner, and then we have the walkthrough. But currently with COVID and probably the reduced numbers, we usually use the full body scanner so that we avoid a lot of patting or physical search of the passengers. Okay, in addition to the screening, the security equipments like the scanner, the X-ray, walk-through detective machine, we also have the explosive tracing detective equipments. When the security officer checks and realizes that there's something that is towards explosives, we have an equipment that can be able to verify. And that's how far KCCA has managed to ensure that security is of a top notch in our airports. After this, now the passenger is ready to board the aircraft. Of course, as usual in departure launches, you will have duty-free shops. They can go and do their shopping. We also have a food court around. KCCA provides infrastructure for aviation services. So we have catered for all that at our departure launches. We have our restaurants, a food court where you can get whatever you want to eat, and resting places. Yeah.
Can we walk through and see the other side?
Yes, please. So, like I was saying, in our air travel passenger journey,
Yes.
while in the terminal, this is where we end our facilitation.
Yes.
In terms of the terminal as the passenger exits. So we've gone through port health, the first one, then we've gone through security, first security checks. We've gone through customs, the first customs check. Then we've gone now to the airline where we've checked in. And then we've gone to immigration. The passenger has been cleared. Then we've walked up to our central screening point where we've done all the screening and verified that the passenger is now clean and ready to depart. So here we are at our boarding gate. This is boarding gate number 16. Now here the airline will pick up the passenger from here until the final destination of the passenger.
That means from this point now, you are going to board the aircraft?
Yes, the passenger is going to board the aircraft.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So there are no more screening beyond this point?
No more screening behind this.
So from here, if I go through here,
yes,
I'm
now
out of Kenya?
Yeah.
Thank you very
Because
much.
we've already cleared you, now you are in no man's land that time.
Madam Dorcas, I want to thank you very much. That was a great tour. Now we understand how a passenger feels and the experience from when they get into the airport until they depart out of the country. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much, our viewers, for being with us through the journey of facilitating our passengers through the JKIA International Airport. It's been great having you, and we ask you to keep engaging us on our social media handles. Please join us on our next release on Ask Your Aviator series.